Okay guys, welcome. We continue on with our factoring quadratics. This is part 2, and we talk about specifically when a is not equal to 0, so a little bit different, but we're going to build on what we did last time. So our first one, we have x squared plus 6x plus 9, right? And we look at our c and our b, and last time we used the x, or two factors that multiply 9 add to 6, right? So 9 on the top, 6 on the bottom, and then we figure out two factors, so 1 times 9 does not add up to 6. 3 times 3 add up to 6, so we got 3 and 3, and we're going to write out our factors. So this is equal to x, and this is going to be plus 3 and plus 3. So they're two 3s. More, because there are two of them, you can combine them and be like x plus 3 twice, or x plus 3 squared. So this is our completely factored form, x plus 3 squared. So that's what we did last time, factoring with our x factor. So now we can figure out, okay, what if we have a problem like this? So we have a number in the front here, right? A is equal to 3. And you notice these ones are here. This one is, or a is 1. So nothing in the front. So we could do the x factor. So this one, since there's a number in the front, we have to do a slightly modified method. We have to try to get rid of that 3 first. So divide everything by 3 first. So this is going to be equal to, right, this is going to cancel. So we got x squared. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So 6x. And 27 divided by 3 is 9. And we put that in parentheses. And so we divided by 3. We have to put that 3 in the front here in order for it to be equal. So we divided by 3 and took it out, basically. So we took it out of our quadratic. And now you notice that this right here is the same exact thing as this that we did here. So it should be factors exactly the same way. X plus 3 times x plus 3, or x plus 3 squared. So if we did the x factor, we're down, same thing. If you did it, let's do it just to show. So we have 9 and 6 again. So our two factors would be 3 and 3. So we got, bring everything down. So this is now x plus 3, bring this down. 3 in the front, so yet. Then we can simplify that. We get x plus 3 squared. And that'll be our factored form. Okay, so we look at it, the only difference is this. The second one has a coefficient of 3 in the front, because you divide it by 3 in the beginning. But it's the same exact thing. Okay, next example. So we got 4v squared plus 20v minus 56. So we have a v in front of the v squared, we have a 4, or a coefficient of 4. So we're going to divide by that number first. So everything, divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. And this is going to be equal to, so v squared, because 4 is canceled, 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5v. Right, negative 56 divided by 4 is negative 14. So divided by 4, and remember we have to put that 4 in the front. So we divided by 4, in order for it to be equal, we have to put it by 4 on the outside. Okay, so we divided by 4. Now we have something that we could factor into our Xbox. So we should have something like 4 parentheses. Yeah, and we're going to factor v squared plus 5v minus 14. Yeah, so again we use our x, negative 14 on the top, 5 on the bottom. Our two factors, right, negative 4, so it's 1 times negative 14, that doesn't work. 2 times negative 7, that doesn't work. So it has to be positive. So you could have like negative 1 times 14, that's positive. Or negative 2 times 7 would be negative 14 and still add to 5. So our two factors are going to be negative 2 and positive 7, because they multiply negative 14 add to 5, and we can add that into our factors. So v minus 2 and v plus 7. So that'll be our factored form. Okay, next example. So we have negative x squared plus 2x plus 80. So now we have a coefficient in the front here again. So it's negative. We want to get rid of that negative because we want it to be positive x squared. So to get rid of the negative, right, divide by negative 1. So everything, divide by negative 1. So we got x squared, negative 2x, negative 80. And then since we divided by that negative 1, we have to put it in the front. So this is negative, or you could put negative 1, same thing. So negative, all that parentheses. And then we're going to factor whatever is left in the parentheses. Negative 8, negative 2. Factors the 80 to add to negative 2. But you could have 1 times 80. Negative 80. 2 times negative 40. 3, 4, 5, what? Go all the way to 8. 8 times negative 10. So that adds to negative 2. So our two factors are going to be 8 and negative 10. Yeah, so when we write out a factored form, it's going to be negative, parentheses, x, and our two factors are going to be positive 8 and negative 10. And that's our factored form. Okay, our next problem. So we have negative 6n squared plus 294. So we have the negative 6 in the front. We're going to just divide by that. Negative 6 to everything. Automatic. Right, it's going to be equal to, so we know our negative 6 is going to be in the front. So we just write that out. Negative 6. Parentheses. So divided, 6 cancels, so n squared. And 294 divided by negative 6 is going to be negative 49. Then we're going to factor that using our x factor. So negative 49 on the top. And you notice there's no middle number. There's no middle number here. There's no x or n, right? So it's going to be 0. So 0. So it has to add to 0 because there's no middle number, no b. So multiply 49, add to 0. So it's going to be 7 times negative 7. Then multiply negative 49, add to 0. Right? So we got 7 and negative 7. These are our two factors. So our factor form is going to be equals, so negative 6, two parentheses, we have n and an n, and then our two numbers will be positive 7 and negative 7. And that's our factored form. Okay, so watch out for those. If there's no b, put a 0. So our steps are, right, step 1, divide by the leading coefficient first. Like we divided by negative 6 here. And then step 2, factor as usual with the x factor. So the only difference we're doing now is divide by a coefficient first, and it ends up in our answer at the end. That's the only difference. Okay, so let's do a problem. So number 1, so you have 4 in the front of our coefficient. So we want to get rid of that first, right? So divide by 4. Divide by 4, divide by 4. So this is going to be equal to 4 parentheses. And then when we divide it, we have x squared minus 6x plus 8. So we just divided everything by 4, put it in the front. Then we use our x factor and our x if you need to. If you don't need it, you don't need to use it. You can do it in your head, do it in your head. So 8 and negative 6. We're going to multiply to 8, add to negative 6. You're going to have 1 times 8. That doesn't add to 6. 2 times 4 doesn't add to 6, but you can make them negative. Or negative 1, negative 8. Doesn't add up, but negative 2 times negative 4 does add to negative 6. So our two numbers, negative 2, negative 4. So our factored form is going to be 4 parentheses, x. And the two factors that we got was negative 2 and negative 4. So that's our factored form. Okay, so let's look at number 7. So here's a negative 2 in the front. So divide by negative 2. Divide everything by negative 2. So we're going to look with negative 2 parentheses n squared 162 divided by negative 2. So negative 81. And then we're going to factor that. So our factors are negative 81 And again, there's no 0 in the middle, right? There's nothing in the middle. But there's no number in the middle, so it's 0. So 0. So it has to be 9 times negative 9. Those are two factors, 9 and negative 9, because they add to 0. So our factored form is going to be negative 2 parentheses n, and our two factors are going to be positive 9 and negative 9. And that's our factored form. You guys try it out. Factors, the only difference, remember that dividing by the leading coefficient first, and then factor your leftover as usual. Now we know how. And your answer is just going to have that number you've divided by at the end in your answer. That's the only difference from last time. Okay guys, try it. Good luck. Check your answers on the bottom as usual. Till next time, have a good one.